How important is it for nonprofits to run a year-end campaign like this?
Very, for various reasons, as I mentioned earlier, right? You want to remind your donors that you're around, their impact, as well as it gets you ready for the following year. But most importantly, approximately 30% of annual giving occurs in the month of December, with this significant portion, around 10%, happening in the last 3 days of December.
Welcome to the Nonprofit Nook, the podcast for nonprofit leaders, board members, and community changemakers who want to build stronger, smarter organizations. I'm your host, Wendy Kidd, a longtime business owner and nonprofit leader, and I'm here to bring you real talk, real tools, and real stories to help you thrive in the nonprofit world. I'll be talking with local nonprofit leaders, community changemakers, and experts in everything from board development to fundraising and digital tools, sharing real stories and simple strategies you can actually use. Because running a nonprofit is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Let's get started. Today on the Nonprofit Nook, we're joined again by Manuel Mesa, a seasoned nonprofit strategist, philanthropy advisor, and technology innovator with over 30 years of experience helping mission-driven organizations grow and thrive. Manuel is the founder and CEO of the Philanthropy Blueprint, where he helps nonprofits align their boards, data, and development strategy. Because passion needs structure. He's also the co-founder and COO of Benevolate, a CRM platform designed specifically for nonprofits to help them manage relationships and drive impact. Over the years, Manuel has led multi-million-dollar capital campaigns, overseen major construction and renovation projects, and strengthened operations and fundraising for organizations of all sizes, from grassroots groups to major institutions. And as the current president of the Dallas chapter of the Association of Fundraising Professionals, he's helping to shape the future philanthropy in North Texas. Welcome, Manuel.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
Of course. I just consider you my resident on fundraising, and I really wanted to ask you a big question.
Sure.
What's a year-end campaign, and when should we do that?
Well, year-end campaign should actually start in September, but if you're listening to this, you're probably not starting in September.
Yep.
But that's okay. It's an opportunity for fundraising efforts that happened in the last few months. So if you can utilize November and all of December, you'll be fine. It's a time where you can remind your donors what your impact is, what you're doing, as well as go into the new year with a strong financial note.
How important is it for nonprofits to run a year-end campaign like this?
Very, for various reasons, as I mentioned earlier, right? You want to remind your donors that you're around, their impact, as well as it gets you ready for the following year. But most importantly, approximately 30% of annual giving occurs in the month of December, with this significant portion, around 10%, happening in the last 3 days of December. So for example, a lot of organizations will go out and send you an email, right, with a timer on December 29th. You know, you have so much time until December 31st at 11:59 p.m. in order to make your donation, as well as for the following year, as a donor, you'll receive a tax credit depending on the level of giving.
Oh, that is really good to know. Like, you really don't want to mess up this year-end campaign stuff. I had no idea it was that important. I knew it was important, but that's pretty important. So when we're talking about reaching out to all these people, what communication methods do you recommend?
Yeah, so nowadays social media is obviously a big push, but you also want to have that one-on-one interaction with donors, right? So you should be having that year round. But if you're not, definitely take the opportunity to craft a really good message. Make sure that you're segmenting your donors. So for example, if I'm sending a message to someone that has given on average $10,000 a year, I'm not going to send them the same message that to a donor that gives to the organization $100 a year, right? It's a different kind of conversation that you're having, as well as different outreach. It's also a good opportunity if your organization participates in Giving Tuesday, which I believe happens on the first Tuesday in the month of December. It's an international opportunity. Yes. There is a organization here in the DFW area, United Way of Dallas, that does support organizations. It's a good way to kick off your year-end campaign as well.
Very cool. So if I was going to start calling my donors around this time, what am I saying? What do we talk about? if we're at this point with the year-end campaign.
Yeah, so you want to have a goal, right? And what is your goal going to impact in your organization? Are you trying to purchase a new vehicle? Are you trying to close out a campaign for something that you started at the beginning of the year? It's important that you have your message correct. You want to make sure that you have a clear message to your donors and make sure that you're following through with everything that you say you're going to do. Most importantly, what is their impact with their gift?
Yeah. So we really want to kind of tie up the loose ends on any campaigns that we have been running. If they're over or not, we need to acknowledge those before we even pick up that phone. But when we do pick up that phone, we need to know exactly what we're asking for.
Correct.
Got it.
Correct.
Got
and
it.
you want to have a good message, right? So, for example, if you're an organization that helps individuals with that children have a disease or a sickness or they have cancer, it's good to use a story of someone that you've helped. If you're able to use pictures, you don't necessarily have to use real names, but if you can get quotes and pictures from the individuals that you've helped, that's really important because, again, you want to make sure that your donors or your potential donors understand what your real impact is and how you've helped already, whether it's individuals or families as a whole.
Absolutely. And just a note to my nonprofits, it's something you should look at in your systems of when you are helping and when you are providing services to your clients and your community. Right then is when you should ask them, how did it go for them? And then follow up immediately, ask them how it went. And that's when you collect this information for these stories. Because if you're forgetting that, then you're forgetting a step in your process. And of course, we'll have lots more on that on another podcast episode because y'all know I love talking about systems. But I just want to make that note. When we talk about having these stories, that's when you get them, is when you're actually doing the work. So,
so can I give a little plug? And
yeah.
You can always edit this later, but that's a great opportunity for the right CRM, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So if you have the right profile, make sure that you document all the interactions with your donors, whether it's an email, conversation, a text message, so that you can go back and because you're never going to remember every interaction you've had with every single donor. So that gives you the opportunity to do what you just said.
Yeah, but also with the people that you're serving.
Correct.
Yeah. When you're trying to come up with these stories to tell the donors, you want to make sure you're getting it from the people you're serving, but you also want to make sure that you're not calling donor A when you just called them last week or another board member called and you didn't know.
That is
so
correct.
Y'all need to be keeping track of who's calling who and when. Another logical thing in my systems that I just love to talk about. So tell me, when you call these donors, and you're giving them your story and you're giving them your goal, what do you kind of consider success for a year-end campaign, and how do you kind of track that?
Yeah, success can be seen in many ways, right? You could be a small organization, $1 million, and you raise $25,000 year end.
Yeah,
that's good success, right? But really, you want to be able to achieve and measure your success. For example, 100% board participation is always important.
Absolutely.
Adding possibly 25 to 35 new donors, that's important. Or increasing retention by 20%. So that means current donors that they've come back again this year to give at year end is important. But it's not just about raising money. It's about strengthening relationships and building a habit of giving money to among your supporters. Excuse me.
Absolutely. Well, so one of the things that I wanted you to talk about today is the wonderful CRM that you have, because it allows you to track all this wonderful goodness that we're talking about.
Right.
So can you tell us a little bit more about your product?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to. Benevolate was started in 2024. Happy to say that we are serving approximately 24 nonprofits, mostly in the DFW area, some outside of the DFW area. And it's something that was created after almost 3 decades of working in the nonprofit world, right? So I think I've seen almost every CRM. I'm not going to mention them because I don't want to give them a shout out, but I worked with just about every CRM out there. And so what I've been able to do is take the best of everything that I've seen, experienced, And I've been able to create Benevolate out of that with the help of some very special people.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really excited about the opportunity. It's helping nonprofits already, whether you're a museum, a secular nonprofit, or a faith-based nonprofit, we can help you.
Yeah, and I will tell you guys, I've actually gotten to play with this system a bit back when I was an interim ED, and it's super intuitive. And I think that that's kind of the selling point for me when I'm looking at systems, because I've looked at a lot of them. And, being married to a software engineer, I can tell you exactly that a software engineer wrote some of this stuff, and it was never somebody that had the experience of using it, because it's so laborious to use. It doesn't make sense how the reports are laid out, or how to set up the event, how to set up the gala ticket sales, or how do you do raffle ticket sales. Those things are so hard in so many of these systems. And I love that in Benevolate, it's just super easy. You have AI embedded in everything, it seems like. Wouldn't you say?
We do. We have AI embedded in. So, for example, if you're sending out an email to all of your donors and it's not segmented,
Mm-hmm.
and you just can't think of something, right? So you put in the information that you really need, and AI will do the work for you, and it'll give you a sample of what it suggests the email should say. It also start to learn from your writing,
Mm-hmm.
so it'll start to sound more like you in the future. We also use AI for reports, right? So most of our competition uses a filter system where you have to scroll through, right? So if I want to identify first, last name, address, and email, so I have to scroll through in alphabetical order and find all that. Where our system allows AI, you can just go ahead and type that in and just tell it exactly the way you're thinking, what you're looking for, and it'll give you back a report with that information. You can even go back and edit that report. Let's say you forgot and you want to add their ID, right? Their user ID, or if you want to add their last gift, you can go ahead and do that as well. We also have a really interesting feature. We can actually call people from the platform. So, for example, if you have donors that are older, they don't understand technology the way the younger generation does, and they don't use email. When you go ahead and send out an email to the entire group, and if they're flagged with a phone icon, they'll get a summary of that email versus an email. And you can even read the transcripts to see if they've interacted with the AI. And down the line, the AI will actually be able to accept donations and payments for events.
That is so cool. I remember when you showed me that, I was like, what? What is happening right now? The computer is having a conversation with the people. Scary for me being Gen Xer, but also very cool.
Definitely.
I'll tell you, when I went in to test the reports, I did the stupidest thing just to ask it to see if I could make it work. And I just said, hey, give me give me a list of people who have birthdays in this month. And it just did. And I was like, this is the way to do reports. This just makes my life easy. So thank you for that.
My
thank
pleasure.
you guys. Yeah. Well, okay. So we know we need to try Benevolate. How do we get there? How do the people who are listening to this go sign up for Benevolate? What do they need to know?
Yeah, sure. So just go to benevolate.com,
Mm-hmm.
and you'll see there an opportunity to get a demo. Demo will be done usually 30-40 minutes, depending on how many questions individuals have. And then we can set you up on a sandbox. It's a 2-week sandbox. You can go ahead and interact with the platform. It does have some capabilities that we narrow them down just so that you don't send out emails or collect transactions, but you'll essentially have the full access to the platform, and you'll be able to go ahead and try it out and see if you like it. If you do, you can let us know within those 2 weeks. And then our chief client officer and his team will go ahead and onboard you. Usually takes anywhere from 1 to 2 weeks, depending on your turnaround time, as well as how many donors you want us to, how much data you want us to bring over from your current CRM.
Sure, sure. And I will just say, for those of you who are not married to a software engineer like I am, a sandbox is a test environment. So you
Thank
can
you.
go in and play with it as much as you like.
That's a good point.
We're all used to our own jargon.
We are.
So, I'm here to interpret sometimes.
Thank you.
But I think that it is a really great piece of software. So I really appreciate you telling us about it. Do you want to talk about pricing?
Yeah, sure. Pricing. So if you're faith-based, it's 2% on every debit and credit card transaction. If you're a secular nonprofit, it's 3% on every debit credit card transaction. And then if you're a museum for exhibits, so if someone is purchasing 1 ticket or 10 tickets for the same exhibit, it's a $2 surcharge. Obviously, there's some other modules that may cost more, depending if you're faith-based or not. And then we also have the ability to migrate your data at a small fee, as well as if you are using a third-party website, we're also able to integrate and create a new website for you, integrate that with Benevolate so that essentially your website is talking to Benevolate. You don't have to worry about missing anything.
Very cool. It's so much fun. So much fun.
Thank you.
So, okay. Going back to the year-end campaign.
Yeah.
Say we're on Benevolate. We know what we're doing.
Yeah.
We're tracking all our calls. We're tracking all the things. One thing I want to say, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I will say, I think where people fail is they get overwhelmed by how many calls there are, how many donors there are. Yeah. And my advice, and you tell me if yours is the same, but my advice is just to start with one. Because if you don't at least start, you'll never get through all of them. And with this year-end campaign being so important, 30% right there, 30% of contributions is crazy.
Yeah.
You need to at least try, set yourself a small goal. Do 1, do 10, 5, whatever your number is to get you motivated to get started on this. Just start, because you're going to miss out if you don't at least try a few.
Correct. And I would start with those individuals that have gifted year after year, also have a higher potential of capacity.
Yeah.
Right. Not to disrespect anybody that's, giving $50 or $100, but if you know someone and you feel comfortable calling them that is going to give you $5,000 donation, right? So you're getting to your year-end goal a lot quicker than calling someone that may give $100. But don't discount those individuals, because you do. At the end of the day, you never know what their capacity is, right? And what their ability to give to you is. So make sure you treat every donor the same, treat them with respect. But I would definitely start each day with a handful. By the way, if they don't go well, don't get disappointed, right? Yeah. You never know what's on the other end, right? You might catch someone they're having a bad day. They lost their job, they lost someone. They're driving in DFW traffic and they're like, I don't want to talk to you today. Right?
Yeah, it could be, it's just their off day.
It is.
You just never know. You never know what's going on in people's lives.
You don't.
But I will also say, don't talk yourself out of making the call.
Correct.
Because let the donor be the one to say no, not you. Correct. Always.
Always ask.
Always ask.
What's the worst they're going to say to you?
Exactly. No. And that's not so hard.
Exactly.
Just move on and say, hey, do you want to volunteer instead? All right. Anything else you think people should know before we go?
Well, that was quick. God, it feels like it goes so quick when I talk to you.
We just have a good time. What can I say?
I would say start small, be authentic, right? People can see when it's fake.
Absolutely.
And you want to be authentic. Choose one great story that really represents your organization. I would also don't overthink it, and be consistent. Communicate impact. Make sure that you're telling your followers, your donors, your potential donors, hey, we're getting to goal, right? So for example, we talked about much earlier, sending out an email on December 29th with a clock ticking down to December 31st at midnight, right? Show your impact. If your goal is $10,000 and on December 29th you're at $8,950, show that, right? Because people that are getting that email are going to say, wow, I can really make a difference here. Yeah. Right. Versus if you have a goal of $100,000 and you've only done $10,000 through December 29th, don't include your impact, because Here
they're going to go, my donation is not even going to get them there. So it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for stopping by. I appreciate you.
My pleasure. It was a long walk from my office.
I know, right? Yes, people, we do office on the same building. All right, guys. Well, that is another edition of the Nonprofit Nook. See you next time. Thanks for listening to the Nonprofit Nook. We're building better nonprofits together. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with other nonprofit leaders who need support. Follow the Nonprofit Nook on social media and sign up for our email list for extra tips and updates. You can also visit thenonprofitnook.com to see the show notes and leave a comment telling me what topics you want next. Your feedback shapes the show. See you next time.